Hey, all you game devs. Last part here, getting to that last shot. So let's take a look at what we got going on with that sarcophagus again. Last bit, we have the sides of the or the semi base, and hold on, I keep grabbing the wrong thing. And we don't have this, and we just need to put this couple bevels down. Super easy. And then we have another shot of the sarcophagus right here, and it's got an interior. I'm not worried about the cracks and stuff at this point. I'll let you guys take a tack at that, but building this first is the best thing. So that's where we are. We just need to do our final base and our interior. And I think you guys know how to do the interior, but we're going to build it anyway. It's going to take no time at all. The only thing we need to do real quick, though, before we go any further, is we can't use symmetry because we want to be able to scale our edges. And if we scale it in a symmetrical way, they're going to have these pieces that fly off and stuff. Let me show you what I mean, just to make sure you understand. I'll go down here and I'll say scale, and it's just going to grab that top area. And if I say scale in, you see how it does that, and it's not going exactly the right way. That's partially, I mean, I don't know why I did. Yeah, it's being stupid, basically. Oh, come on. Can't even do it wrong for myself. Come on. Yeah, it's just stupid. So what we need to do is make sure we get this all as one piece. When we scale it in, just like we did with the sphere or the circle, it will make it even all the way across. So we just need to get out of here real quick. We can always collapse it back down to symmetry after the fact. And we're going to go convert to editable poly. And just to be careful, we're going to go down to our verts, grab all, and say weld. Control A, by the way, is grab all, just to make sure there's no weird ones. And see, there are some that aren't connected. It could be these pieces. It could be this piece. It could be who knows where. I mean, I can really dig it up if I want to look for it. But for now, I'm just making sure it doesn't do that. So we're going to keep it like this and say okay. Now we're going to go back to the 2, or we can actually use 3 if we want at this point, because it's only going to grab those faces, and we're going to shift drag it in. Okay, so yes, it's not going to be perfect, but now at least they're all going towards each other, and all I have to do is move it this way to make it the thickness I want. Let's take a look at that thickness again real quick. It's not thick at all. It has a step in there, so let's pull this back out. After you get that first initial pull in, you can just keep, adjusting. Let's go to the top here. Maybe a little bit more this way. Okay, anyway. Shift, drag it down. Shift, drag it in. Shift, drag it down. Like that. Should be good. We may make it even a little bit less deep. I'm leaving it open because at this point I don't know what we're going to do with the lid. So, and then we do the shift, drag it in, and we can either make it perfect and go pull out like this a little bit more, or shift, drag it in one more time and then collapse it. So we can come back and look at that if you want later. It's up to you, and we can collapse and clean up some of this stuff later too. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that because as ugly as it is, it works for right now. Well, like I said, this is one plane that we can just delete and clean it up and do our own. Okay, so now let's look at that last piece. And we're down to here, so we one out, one down, one out, one down. So pretty straightforward. Let's go back to here. Grab that piece, make sure it goes all the way around. This one we're gonna, obviously because it's not a square, it's not gonna be even anyway, but we're gonna shift drag. And again, from the top is the best way to look at this. And then we'll figure out how much. I think that works. This one's easier than the interior. Drag it down. And we can clean up this mess anytime we want. You can clean up as you go, or you can clean it up after. Your bosses in the future may want you to have this clean as you go, and that just means collapsing a lot of these verts down to tries. But, if you bring this into ZBrush, or you try and use multi-res on this, and I'll show you that real quick in a minute, you can try and get some decent pieces out of it. So again, back to the top, just to make sure we got some evenness here. Out, W, drag down, like that. Okay. And there we go. And actually, I think I want that base. Ignore. I want it a little bit higher. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do this. I'm going to go front, Z. I'm going to take these off. I'm going to look at this in direction, pull this out. We'll see what shadows look like on it. High quality. Yeah, I mean, it's there. It's probably not as deep as we want it, but we can play with that too. And then we can turn it into a high-res mesh, and we can talk about that maybe this week, or I can bring it into ZBrush and do some sculpting on it. But there you go. I did say I'd show you real quick. There's a thing called multi-res in here, which is a decent cutting down on polys and stuff. You know, I'm just really keen on ZBrush's disseminator, but let's see. Multi-res. I see MU. How about that? Multi-res. There we go. Okay, so this one you just generate, and if we look at the polys on it, you can see all it's doing right now is calculating, and it's you know, like 8K for this because of the high res stuff or semi-high res stuff, which isn't horrible but isn't great. So we're going to turn this down. Usually I don't do it by that much at a time just to see how bad it gets. And if I go to 50 right now, and then we turn this back off, and this is where you want to do. You want to not look at the polys when you're doing this. Because see, there you go is one of the problems. So that's not great, but let's try 75. Yeah, 75 is barely noticeable. Let's see what it looks like in there. Totally weird, totally confusing. What the heck is the computer thinking kind of stuff. And if you don't want to do it by hand, this is a quick answer. It's now 7 grand, you know, and there's other things you could have done. But nevertheless, this is where we are. I'm not going to keep this, but I wanted to show you that part. Let's try 65. And then we got to turn this off. Again, it's this part right here. It's just not very nice. Let's see what's going on there. Yeah, it's not liking that, but that's fine. There you go. And that's the not as easy as it seems sarcophagus, at least done to a level that's closer to professional. There's a lot more work to be done, but now you've got a base that you can work with, and you know, you can clean up, you can down res, whatever you need to do, and then you've got perspective, something that's not absolutely horrible. There you go. Gee. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Maybe, oh, I did talk about doing some streaming stuff, so we'll talk about that soon.